Yeah, thank you for Sonya to join our event, become today's speaker, and I will pass the baton for her. And yeah, let's welcome her.
Oh, thank you guys. Okay, so I mean, we can just make this interactive. Anytime that you guys want to ask me something, let's make this less formal. So, I don't need to talk for 2 hours straight, yeah? Okay, so when Dominic kind of invited me, I was kind of like curious about like what XReality is, and then I started going through like the site, and then it's very interesting on the initiative that she's doing on like this academy about like unity and like different topic that would help people to understand better about like VR and AR and AI. And I feel that, and what got me really interested to become like a guest speaker here, it's also that there is like a huge barrier of entry, at least like from what we're seeing today. And most of that kind of with the very early infancy of like the metaverse, so everything kind of leads down to like education. And so most people that even when I explain what UPWorlds is to people, it's like people's like, say that again. Like, say that again. So I mean, it's to know there's actually a lot of people who are like creating initiative and dedicating their time to build like the knowledge transfer, the knowledge building of this part is it's amazing. And I feel like somewhere along, so I'm going to run I made like a slides, and anytime you guys feel that you want to ask anything, feel free to jump in. And I mean, I will be more than happy when this is like more interactive, then you guys are going to be bored listening to me talk for like 2 hours. Yeah. And so somewhere along in the middle, I feel like this is something to do with like the XReality as well. And this is kind of where like I thought like it would be nice to build a connection. Okay, so let me see if this is the one. Yes, okay. Sure. You guys can see my screen now.
Yes.
Okay. Great. Okay. So before I kind of start, like I'm actually really curious about like what background you guys like come in, what got you like quite interested into this. Maybe something I can address while sharing the presentation. Anyone wants to share?
Yeah, I mean, my background is design and art. So yeah, if I can learn more about, metaverse creation, that would be great. Yeah, and what's up words? Yeah. And
Well, I
anyone?
guess I can start what like UPWorlds is like in terms of virtual walls. So every time we kind of explain UPWorlds, a lot of people always ask like, what is virtual walls? And as we kind of know, it's like a computer simulated environment that populates a lot of the user, where we create like avatar, and then they can independently go and explore the virtual worlds. They can create activities, they can participate in the activities. And I think one of the most mature things that we can do today is the communication part. Everything else is still building. The technology, the interaction, the UX, like is still building up. But the one thing that is already mature enough is the communication part. People can feel like they are talking to each other. Not, I know that we can see each other, but when you actually meet each other as an avatar, it's different because it's a first person experience, and together you can jump from like one world to the other, and it's like it's a whole universe on its own. And there are a lot of UPWorlds is actually like a community-based product. So I started this about 1.5 years ago. 1.5 years? Yes, 1.5 years ago. With my first encounterment with VR. And of course, like because I have a design background, the first thing I wanted to do is to build something when I go into VR. which is like I built the first virtual worlds. And my first experience, like I tried this platform, a VR platform called Altspace. Like, do you guys have ever heard Altspace? Yes. Okay. And Altspace is a Unity based virtual worlds, which means like I had to learn Unity and like load them inside Altspace. And so I started doing a couple of worlds like this, and a lot more people started coming into the worlds, and they really liked it. And they're like, oh, how do you do this and how do you do that? Can you teach me? And I thought that it would be quite interesting to start like a Patreon account for this. So I started like a Patreon account where every week a lot more people started to subscribe into that Patreon account, and they started coming into this workshop. And every week we could get like up to 100 people, like 150. There was kind of like a lot of people. But I think one of the most valuable things that I got from that experience was the after event, which means like these are people who are who stayed back and who was talking to me and talking to the peer to like, oh, what do they feel like virtual worlds should be used for? And like, which means they also shared some of the pinpoints that they feel, okay, you know what, even if I build virtual worlds, what am I going to use it for? Like, what is the creators economy that is there today? And a lot, like I hear like a lot of this, like even more like with months. And then I told them like, what if I stop like the Patreon, and then what if like we just build a community and let's build like a marketplace product? So they're like, yeah, you know, that would be interesting, like maybe that would be nice. So I stopped the Patreon. I took out the money from there, and I started building UpWorlds. And of course, the first MVP of UpWorlds was made in like weeks in Editor X. I was just telling Dominic about it. Amazing stuff. And from that, we started like having more and more people who are interested with the platform, who actually started to understand what is virtual worlds based on the platforms. And they started submitting like a lot more worlds to UpWorlds. And like, these are one of the virtual worlds that is made by one of UpWorlds partner. It's called MetaXu Studio. They call this like a Meta 2 cloud. The builders is actually an architect, but he is transitioning into like a virtual architects, and they're renting this place for galleries. So a lot of people have actually started using this. They started renting this for, of course, as you guys know, NFTs. And some of them have rent this for their personal portfolio, for their photography. So this is definitely one of the most famous usage of virtual worlds that is happening right now. And then, of course, and not the least, is during the whole COVID things, this is one of the most famous category, which is parties and get together. And we have a couple of builders that build like specifically for parties and for walls that are made for parties and get together. So this, whatever you guys are seeing right now, this is called Madana Launch. So Madana Launch is very famous, especially I think if you guys have gone to like VR chat or like an Altspace, you guys will see like Madana Launch is one of the very much liked, favorite actually worlds by most people. And a lot of people have actually, a lot of brands as well have rented this area for product launching, for like after events. Yes. Gigi.
Can I just ask a clarifying question? So these are then able to be uploaded into Altspace to then experience through Altspace, or are they web VR plus headset spaces that can be gotten to separately? What's kind of the entry spaces that you could then have these gorgeous spaces as an interaction point?
Yes. So I will reach to that part later, but there are different types of virtual worlds. So there are what we call like web-based virtual worlds. There are like platform-based. Like this is, I'm going to get into like why is it centralized and decentralized eventually, and that's going to answer your questions.
Okay.
And then this is one of my favorite actually, cultural heritage. So this builder, she focuses on cultural heritage category. And when people go into this, it's literally like a journey back to the past. We would hire like a guide who would literally brought you like to this to this whole experience of the virtual worlds. The amazing thing is that this is actually a digital twins, but if you go to Greece, you won't find this anymore. Like this is a ruin in Greece, but then she kind of like built everything in Unity and like exactly in one-on-one size. So it's like you can experience something that's not there and even in the physical world anymore. So ancient Athens is one of my personal favorite, sorry. And then this is something what a lot of people are using now for NFTs. So they started using virtual worlds for digital twins. So digital twins, as in like, for example, you see like the, give me one building that is very famous. This is actually Huabon, and if you guys are from Asia, and this is like a very famous station in Japan. And so these builders made like an exact copy of Huabon station, and a lot of people has coming into rent this place for some like get together and events with their friends. And this is another like a famous usage of the virtual worlds, which is education. And these builders specifically focus on building worlds for languages. Today, he has about 189 languages, starting from language that has the most people who speak, like who still speak for them, and those who has even vanished into the history. So a lot of the people who started renting this world are schools or like a personal tutor who wants to give a different experience of like teaching. And if you guys can see like the price of it, everything this is immediately goes to the builders. Okay, so one of the most famous questions that I always get is that who are these people? Like who are who are these metaverse builders? And they come from a variety of backgrounds. Of course, like because they are we're talking about like a virtual space, like a spatial design. The first thing we think is like they must be designer. Well, they are. There are architects who becomes like virtual architects. There are product designers who got interested in 3D design. Of course, 3D designers, there are spatial designers, interior designers, game designers. But I think it's so amazing because now within like Apple's community, we have a lot more people who actually doesn't come from like design backgrounds. They have like a 9-to-5 job, which is not design at all, but they really like jump into the program and learn different things about XR, and they started building virtual worlds that they actually started using for their work in a different area. So you will be surprised, like the kind of people that you meet, like, oh, you have this background, but how do you do it? And one of the most famous like design tools, of course, and this is the barriers to entry, I have to say, is Unity and Blender. There are a lot more programs that people use to build virtual worlds, but this is like the most common one, I would say. Like we have a lot of like metaverse platform right now, and even they started to want to work with Unity, because Unity, as you guys know, like Unity spend a lot of money to make sure that they are metaverse ready. So the new metaverse platform that are coming in that try to be like Unity compliance, and which is good for builders, because then if you know how to do Unity, it means that you can be builders in a multiple platforms. And another tools is of course Blender. This is actually where I feel this presentation this what got me quite interested to speak here, is because I know in XReality these guys are doing like courses on Unity, which is really great. and not a lot of, we just had a discussion with Dominic, like you can spend about like a year, like 2 years, you might still like don't know like what you need to do in Unity, but to have like a class or like a course that focused like for like how to build a virtual walls in Unity, how to build them in Blender, how to bring things from Blender to Unity, from Unity to the platforms, and eventually how do I like make money out of it. This is like the connection in it. Okay, but like when you want to learn Unity, right? Like there's so many things that you need to learn, like when you want to build like a good virtual walls. And a lot of the question that always come is like, yeah, but like, how do I know if this wall is good or this wall is bad? Because virtual walls is a perception base, and it's true. And this has a lot to do with user experience and immersive experience that comes into the detail of the wall. But if I have to kind of like cluster them into like this is good, I would say when you learn Unity, like learn these 4 elements, like learn lighting, learn sound, learn how to apply like a good texturing, and learn have some space knowledge. Okay, so this is one of the wall, it's called Hiroshige 36. So he played with a lot of like shadow, a lot of lens flare, a lot of like halo lighting. And the wall is actually very simple, but a lot of people actually like this wall because they feel really immersive just by the baked light. It gives like more realistic look into it. The second one is obviously sound. And like in Unity, you can learn like how to add like different sounds that is that add into the immersiveness of like the virtual walls. This is another favorite, personal favorite of mine, like the Brooklyn rooftop. And the nice thing about this is that like as you go like closer to the water, not only you could hear the water, you could also like hear the busy background of like New York. But as you move like further from it, like you won't hear it anymore. So it's really immersive. And then texturing. Texturing is one of the most important things. I think based on kind of like what I see in UPWorlds is that walls that have a good texturing normally has more, they could charge more, like for people to rent them or to buy them because they look really realistic. And this is one of the builders who are really good in like applying texturing, Ismail. He built this like a modern house, but when you actually have the chance to, if you go into UPWorld, you can actually visit the wall because we try to enable wall visiting. And if you visit the wall, you can see like how realistic is this wall, the resolution, the tileability, the depth of the texturing. It's really amazing. And of course, this holiday palace. The holiday palace is about like, it's about space. This is the space that I'm saying. And I know that a lot of within the community, we have something what we call like a spatial designer. We have like an architect who can be like a really good mentor when it comes to especially like height, width, and length of a space. Even though it's virtual walls, but you still want to feel like you can like it. I've ever gone into like a wall that has like very like low ceilings, and I know it's virtual wall and it's not real, but because it's a 360-degree experience and you're going there with a headset, you're already kind of stuck within a headset. Having like a big space in the virtual walls give you like the feeling of like I can breathe, you know, like when you go like into a very like small space, you feel like very congested into it, even though in reality it's not. But it's about a brain perception when you're like, because that's the only thing you see within a headset, right? Okay, so this is where I'm going to answer your question, Gigi. Today we have a lot of metaverse platform that are available in the market. So as you guys can see, like we have VR Land, we have Horizon, we have Roblox, we have Somnium Space, Mona, Sansar, VR Chat, like so many. And believe me, every day new platforms are being born. Some of them are decentralized, some of them are centralized. Something like Altspace and VRChat, they're centralized. But something like Mona, something like Hubs, Somnium Space, they're more decentralized. So normally, like, how do you know if like this, the first thing that you, if you want to know whether a virtual world is a web-based or a platform-based, is first you need to know whether they're centralized or decentralized. If they're decentralized, normally they are available to be accessed from like a bigger, from like a bigger set of devices, which means like you can access them by phone, they're browser based. But most of the centralized one, they are usually only like in platforms like Horizon World, like Outspace, like VRChat. Up until this point, like they're still like in platform, but with a lot more like decentralization that is happening within the metaverse. I feel like a lot more like community and builders are pushing into like, we want decentralization, and it's a matter of like whether they want to adjust to live or if they don't want to adjust, I guess at some point, because I think more and more creators want to feel like they have ownership, and they don't want to like feel that, oh, if I go into a platforms and then if I leave but my creation is still there, like I have to have like the rights to bring my other my content somewhere else. And based on like a lot of conversation that I have, you know, like at least like up until this point, I feel like we are definitely leaning to like more decentralization. And this is one of the QR code that we actually built, because we know that there is so many platforms today, like so many platforms, and normally builders always say like, okay, which platform is for me? Like I may or may not have the skill, I may or may not know like what's going on in the market, I may or may not want to monetize from my virtual worlds. But based on your own choices, like based on your own motivation, we built like a questionnaire that you can go through. Like you can answer this like one by one, and then it will give you like the right platform for you. And I mean, I'll be more than happy to pick this up again like later if you have some questions. Okay, and this is kind of where like Apple is coming. So, you know, after you learn all this, like how to build the virtual walls, you spend so much money in it. Okay, what am I going to do with this virtual walls? And as you guys see, like even though there's a lot of like decentralization that happens today in the market, some of this decentralization happens within like a blockchain, which means like it depends, like which, like Mona, for example. Mona is built on top of Ethereum. And so, which means that Mona only can be accessed in Mona, even though there is decentralized, but they can be accessed in Mona, they can be accessed in under Ethereum. And we started seeing a lot more platforms started building on top of a blockchains, which means that they're decentralized, but they're decentralized within that blockchain, whatever is that blockchain. It could be Ethereum, it could be Solana, it could be tomorrow, God knows what else is going to be there. And people who built in Mona, who built in, for example, one builders could be building in Mona, could be building in Renovi, could be building in Horizon World, could be building could be building in Outspace and VRChat, but there's no way for these people to centralize their creations. Why? Because each of these platforms is on its own ecosystem. So it's almost like even if you're a good builder, like where to find you? How do I know that I can see that you have built in these different platforms? And that's actually the mission of UPWorlds. Like we are building like a marketplace to decentralize the search engine for these builders. It doesn't matter where builders are building. They could be building in any old platforms, any new platforms. The more platform that is there, I guess the better it is for us right now. But they can consolidate everything, especially today, if it's a unity-based world. They can consolidate everything within UPWorlds, and what we want is that a virtual world that can be searched by platforms and by activities category. VR chat, rec room, news, Somnium space, alt space, doesn't matter, because UPWorlds is a builder-centric platforms. It's not a metaverse. Like we don't care whatever metaverse platform is there, for as long like if you're a builders and you want to put your stuff here, you can be searched. And this is easier for people to actually search different virtual worlds, especially if they're thinking to use that for different activities. Some people are more comfortable in doing their event in alt space. Some people are more comfortable in doing it in neos. But here you can just go to your search and find it accordingly. And these builders can actually list their creation as part of their portfolio and choose a right monetization features. So right now we support 3 monetization features. One is obviously renting, second is selling, third is that what if happen if like your wall is an NFT? No problem, you can still add them as like part of your portfolio, and we will connect this wall to your NFTs link. It could be anywhere. It could be super rare. It could be OpenSea. Could be anywhere. It doesn't matter. So this is another entry point for you for the builders to kick off their creators economy. Obviously, today we're always like going around and asking like the community of like a different creators economy that is available, because UPWorlds is actually a community product. Like most of the features that we have within UPWorlds is I didn't come up with it myself. It's they come up with it, they ask for it, and then we said like, oh, you know, there's like good numbers of people who are asking it, so let's do it. Which means like we are always kind of looking for new, we call them creators economy tool. Like we're always kind of looking for a new tool to help this builder, to help this bunch of builders to showcase themselves like even better. And lastly, and which is kind of like one of the most popular thing why people come to UPWorlds is that not only for individual, but also for brands and for companies that are building new metaverse platforms. They can discover builders to build like a custom wall for them. Some people has built for B2C, some people have built for B2B, some people actually already built for like an ads. So for example, like there's a brand who wants to advertise within a virtual walls, like Madonna Launch. Madonna Launch has got a good number of viewers. And so we connect them to builders for them to build like an what do you call these things? Like a banner within like a billboard, sorry, like a billboard within a wall, and they can just pay according to it. And these people can actually also hire these builders who have built in a different platform. So if you guys can see, like some builders have built, we have builders who built in Decentraland, and Mozilla Hub, in Spatial, in Horizon, so different places. And people can just come here and hire them to build for their own needs, for Oculus, for HTC. Okay, what is the future of virtual worlds? Obviously, NFT, as you guys know, is like one of them. So a lot more platforms are they transition themselves from a centralized to an NFTs platforms. We have Decentraland, we have Sandbox, but based on like our research, of course, and which is also we included this in our pitch deck. The industries that will be using more and more virtual worlds is in gaming, entertainment, health, real estate. And this is also based on the client that we have gotten so far in UPWorlds as well. hospitality, travel, design, education. These are like I would say they would be like the pioneer industry that started using virtual worlds, like taking that leap of faith. And I think a lot more industry will come into the space soon enough, but this is what we're seeing, at least for the next 2 to 3 years. Like a lot of this will start coming. Okay, so I'm going to pause here because I'm tired. This is actually a workshop that I've put, and if you guys like are interested to do this with me, but up until this point, I would really love to hear what you guys think about it, and if you guys have any questions that I can help to answer.
Yeah, feel free to unmute yourself, and yeah, now it's open to the question. Yeah,